My name's Thabo. I am a writer on Hollyoaks. I've been a writer since, had my first commission in October 2020 and had my first episode go out April 2021. So still haven't found me out yet. I'm still here. So there was already on the table a knife crime story where the teenagers were going to be front and center of the story. I thought that with DeMarcus already in the show, I thought it would be a good chance to look at how society can often demonize young black boys when they feel that they have no other option but to carry a knife without ever actually looking at the reasons behind that decision. I was a bit loath to do it. I was a bit reluctant to actually pitch this story because I thought it was a bit cliched. You get a young black boy and you put a knife into their hands. But I thought we at Hollyoaks always do things differently, and I thought we can look at some of the other issues such as toxic masculinity, the stereotypes a young black boy often faces, and do it within the prism of a father and son relationship. And that is what's at the heart of the story for me, the relationship between Felix and DeMarcus and how they begin to trust and speak to each other. We use knife crime as a shorthand, but for me, the crux of the story is a father and son coming together and growing. You can live in a community where everybody looks like you, everybody talks like you, everybody has like the same kind of viewpoint as you, but thanks to television, thanks to soap, you could watch and almost understand like the motivations of people who are totally different from yourself. And you can see that their goals, their dreams, their fears even are very similar to yours. So despite the differences, there's a lot of similarities. And I feel that can allow cultures and for people to get closer together without even actually meeting different cultures. When I was growing up, I didn't feel there were many voices like mine. I felt often there were faces like mine, but when they spoke, it felt that someone else was writing them. In short, it felt that there was black faces on TV, but it didn't feel that black people were writing them, which was often the case. Thankfully, things are changing a lot more now, but at that time, I didn't feel there was that kind of authenticity in black characters who you saw on TV, and I saw an opportunity there for our voices really to be heard, for that understanding what I talk about with different cultures, understanding each other. It only comes when there's an authenticity in the voices. That's what I wanted to bring. I kind of got frustrated, which I think a lot of people, black people, a lot of people of colour, a lot of people from ethnic minorities got frustrated when they felt their voices weren't being portrayed accurately on TV. So that's kind of why I wanted to do it. Also, when I felt that there was a certain kind of story that was being told about black working class, the black working class world, and quite often it was very kitchen sink, very depressing. And I'm saying this doing a knife crime story, but I wanted to like put a more positive spin on that world because yes, there's a lot of hardships in that world, but there is also a lot of friendship, family, community, and a lot of positivity in that world. And that's what I try to do with my writing, to show, yes, there's the difficulties, but there is also so much come together and so much love and so much happiness within that environment. So that's kind of what inspired me to get into writing. There's a saying that all writing is rewriting, and I never knew what that meant until I started on Hollyoaks. But 90% of what I do in every day is just refining my script. So I can knock out a first draft quite quickly now because I've been on the show for quite some time, but to get it to a level where we all feel happy with it, it takes a lot of rewriting. But thankfully there's a really strong team, there's script editors, there's producers, there's so many people there who are there to guide me. So it's having the conversation. So writing is a lonely kind of pursuit, but at the same time there's a big collaborative effort as well, especially on a show like Hollyoaks. So there's script writers and producers who are there to guide me at each step of the way. So rewriting scripts is one part of it, and then pitching ideas for the different characters on the show, long-term storylines, short-term storylines, such as this knife crime father and son story with DeMarcus and Felix. I never really try and force my lived in experiences to come in, but it naturally does. Like I'll have conversations with friends and I'll think, oh, do you know what? This would be a good line. That's a funny line. And I'll just naturally I'll drop it into an episode of Hollyoaks. Quite often when I'm speaking with my friends, when I'm out with my friends, I'll be testing the lines. Like, especially the comedy lines, I'll test the line. And if they laugh at it, I'll think, do you know what? That's going to work on the show. But in terms of like dialogue, it's always just kind of organically with like friends' conversations. In terms of storylines, things that happen in my life that really move me is kind of what I don't feel it's ever been put across, portrayed on TV, or portrayed as I'd like to see it or as I remember it, is what kind of inspires me to pitch for in terms of like long-term storylines. So with the knife crime story, like we've seen countless times about black people carrying knives, black boys carrying knives. There's countless kind of hood drums, shall we call them, on TV. But there's never the kind of just to stop and say, why would a black boy actually make that decision? Why would a young black boy actually make that decision? And how that could just mess up their whole life. That one thing, that one decision could just mess up their whole life. And it's that kind of what inspires me. I think the most important thing as a storyteller is to find your truth. Find stories that you want to see on TV and that you genuinely love, that you genuinely feel passionate about. When I started off in the pursuit of writing, I would often tell stories thinking, oh, Channel 4 might like this, or the BFI might like this, or BAFTA might like this, and they might fund my project. But I only really started to find genuine interest in my project when I said, forget all those people, all I want to do is tell a story that I want to watch. And that's when I kind of found my voice, and that's when I kind of grew in confidence as a storyteller. So that's what I would say to any aspiring storyteller watching this. Just find your voice, find what you're passionate about. Think of a story that's not on TV that you want to see, TV or film or on YouTube or wherever. Think of something that you want to see and tell that story, because people will be interested in it. People will be interested in your unique voice. And also remember, if I can do it, you can do it. Because you know what I mean? If like, I never thought I'd be in this position where I'm writing for Hollyoaks, but I am. And yeah, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. So yeah.